Dr. Maggie joined the private sector in 1994 as a shareholder, Director Marketing and Public Relations with Crown Bottlers, which is also referred to as Pepsi. At the same time, she was elected as a board member of Uganda Manufacturers Association. In 1999, she was appointed Executive Director of Uganda Investment Authority and promoted investment until she retired in 2011. Those, I think, about 12 years. During this period, Uganda attracted over 10 billion USD of domestic investment and 4 billion USD of foreign investment, and very many jobs were created. Dr. Maggie loves to plant trees, and she runs Zuri Model Farm Limited up to date. Also, she wears a number of hats in different organizations. She's a director for Crown Beverages Limited. She's been a chancellor with Mpumba University for 8 years. She's an associate professor at Makerere University, a chairperson, Makerere University Endowment Fund. She's a trustee for Shell Foundation, a UK ambassador for Africa Scout Foundation, a chairperson, Akina Mama wa Africa. She's on the advisory board for PSFU, a non-executive director, NCBA Bank. She's a board member for Trademark East Africa, a fellow of the Uganda National Academy of Science. She's also a keen sportswoman who represented Uganda in tennis, squash, table tennis, and motorcycle racing. Now, this is the corporate side of Dr. Maggie Kigozi, but she's also a mother of 3 and a grandmother. Welcome, Dr. Maggie Kigozi. I'd also like to quickly go and introduce Klaire Komakech before we hear from the both of them. Now, I know many of us know Klaire. You've seen her moderate and be a panelist on a number of sessions, but you might not know the different hats that Klaire wears. I'm sure you will enjoy hearing her. Klaire is a versatile professional, and she works with the Vision Group. She's the head of business. She's the head of business development. She's a business development manager, and also a CEO of Klaire's Life Makeovers, which is a successful interior design and home organizing business. Klaire is a passionate advocate for the use of vision boards and positive affirmations. Klaire thinks that if you can't see it, then you cannot envision it. And she has a strong record of community service and is dedicated to empowering young people to take on leadership roles. When Klaire turned 40, she intentionally chose to prioritize mentoring and motivating other women. I know that we have all heard of the project Girls for Girls. She's the president of the book club of Girls for Girls, and she leads a vibrant community of over 600 women, who are dedicated to enhancing their personal growth and developing leadership skills. Klaire is a mother of 4, and in her motherhood, she has faced a number of challenges. I know as women, if you talk about balancing work and home, some of the things that will come up are things like childbirth, childbirth, maternity issues, taking leave, and how that affects you. Out of the 4 children that Klaire has, 3 were born preterm. I know mothers who have had only 1 child who's born preterm, and they can tell you how challenging it has been. So imagine Klaire, somebody in the professional world, she's had 3 of her children born preterm, and that actually inspired her to launch Klaire's Life Makeovers. Klaire's career path has been characterized by determination and commitment to growth. And during her 15 years at Vision Group, she has held 4 different roles and has risen through the ranks, like she will tell you. She's also a sought-after keynote speaker and has spoken at a variety of corporate events, including those hosted by MasterCard Foundation, ABSA, Cairo Bank, Umeme, Finca, Airtel, ICA, NSSF, URSB, and Minet today. Klaire, you are welcome. You're welcome. So I know there are some people here who are wondering, is this for me? But just to reaffirm why you're here, do you feel overwhelmed and you feel like you are accomplishing nothing? Do you feel like you have neglected your family at the expense of your job? Are you going through a relationship strain that affects your emotions and productivity at work? Or do you feel like you have lost connection with your partner or children? And are they complaining about your job demands? Or do you just feel lost, from within as a mother, as a homemaker, who is in the corporate space? So I am sure one of you will relate to a number of things that I have read. So this is for you. And very quickly, I'd like to invite our panelists. Our first panelist will be Dr. Margaret Kigozi, and she will be defining for us exactly what is marriage, marriage and family relationship, and its importance, for our mental well-being. She'll also talk about the risk factors resulting from the dynamic socio-economic environment. And without wasting any time, I'd like to invite Dr. Margaret to speak to us. Margaret, over to you. You're muted.
Yes, I am. I've unmuted. Thank you very much, Doreen, for that kind introduction. And our listeners, both male and female, I'm happy. Today we have both. I am used to either speaking to one or the other. So I'm happy that because a family is all about both male and female. And I'm happy to be speaking about that. Do I have any authority to speak about marriage? Yes. I was married for 17 years, but I had actually met my husband during my A-level holidays. He was working for BAT and I had a little job there. So yes, we had met much earlier, so at least 25 years. He was my boyfriend throughout when we were at medical school. And then we got married. And so, yes, I was married for quite a long time, but I've also been a single mom for even more years than that. I brought up my children. Navi was 11 when his father passed. So yes, I've also had the other perspective of managing the family by yourself. So we wanted a definition of marriage and family relationship. And we all know it's very important for mental wellness. The legally or formally recognized union of a man and a woman as partners in a personal relationship is what we would call marriage. And it is formally recognized in the religious sense. You can be married in church or in the mosque, or it could be customary. We all have our own culture, different cultures. And it is within the family and the extended family, which can sometimes be a problem. It's not really just the two of you. Once you get married, the extended family, both sides, like I would have the Kigozis from my husband's side, there are very many, and I would also have the Blicks on my side, and there are also very many, and they are a part of your marriage, and you can't do away with them. Then there are three types of marriage. It could be monogamy, you and your husband. It could be polygamy, and it seems to be allowed nowadays. Even we always knew our Muslim brothers and sisters could marry up to four wives. But the other way around, no, the wife could not have 4 husbands. And yes, so we're seeing even this begin to happen with some few groups. So what are the risk factors from dynamic socioeconomic environments? Culture and its expectations. That is really a risk factor, especially where we are combining it now with modernity, where we are all highly educated, both male and female, and we all have employment. We are both working. So that is actually bringing challenges, which are what are causing some of what Helen talked about, the depression, and we are confused. We are just one generation past the grandmother, the mother who was unemployed, probably not highly educated, and was at home full time. That is what the husbands of today actually saw and actually knew. So they are shocked when they come, and Madame is also rushing off. She's also going to work. She's also tired. So that is the challenge that we face customarily as we try to manage the modernity, which is what is happening today. And these are the risk factors that we face. How do us women manage that situation of a husband who saw his mother able to be at home, able to do everything that's required at home, and now you are absent most of the time, you're working. You are what we are calling empowered. You have also your own, as a woman, different expectations. To the men, they always felt very free in the past. They could, go out and stay out until all hours. And I think the modern man, we have discovered in the recent past, the boys need their fathers at home. They need their role models, and they are not benefiting from this role model who leaves work and goes off to play golf, play tennis, whatever game you're playing, goes off to the bar, and is simply not there. The expectations culturally from our men was, yes, they would educate the kids. They would pay the school fees. There is what they call the kameza money. They would buy the necessary food. The traditional mother was expected to grow a lot of the food for home, but that has also changed. Many of us are living in town. Men have also been challenged to make their wife look good. So they are actually quite happy to ensure that the hair is done, the nails are done, makeup is done, and your wife looks good. That seems to be something that they have taken up. I think it's sometimes unfair. Our hair is really expensive. Our nails are really expensive. And we could do some of that by ourselves at home. So more expectations because of our culture. You would expect your wife to kneel. She's been working all day. You have come home. She's tired and kneeling. Some fathers insist your wife must cook your food, your dinner, and you are not going to expect to accept food cooked by anyone else. The cleaning of your bedroom, your shirt should be ironed by your wife. And then, of course, the children are there. There's a lot of work involved with the children. So I think we really require better understanding of the modern wife and the modern husband as a couple. You can really work on this as a couple, come to understand one another, understand that your wife could actually be tired. Are you expecting too much of her? I remember my husband. He had grown up in a very traditional setting. His father was a chief. His mother was a housewife fully, but he remembers Christmas and he never allowed me to cook at Christmas because his mother would start cooking the day before, the 24th. A whole lot of matoke and other foods, put it on the fire. The whole night she'd be checking to make sure the fire had not gone off. She may even miss church because now she has to make sure that when everybody leaves church and comes back to eat, everything is ready. And he could see his mom was so tired. So I was benefited from that experience of his in that he never invited people or the priest, the church, from the church, which is what happened now. Everybody being, you know how children are sent off to their grandmother. So you have the poor lady with so many children in the house to look after because everybody's packaged their children off to go to their jaja for Christmas. Now my husband would never accept that because he wanted me as well, not just them, everybody around me. He wanted his wife to enjoy Christmas, his wife to be able to eat food cooked by other people. So we'd, generally speaking, go to a hotel or something like that. And so gentlemen, do you ever consider, gentlemen in the room, and I know you're many, do you ever consider that your wife is tired? Don't you want to protect her from that so that she'll have more time for you, be able to spend more time with you? And so I just shared that, the understanding that can happen between husband and wife, understanding that your wife is maybe slightly different from your mother because she works. She works as many hours as you do. So what do we want from you? What would make your wife happy? She would love to see you at home sometimes, not necessarily all the time, because entertaining you also can be a challenge. She'd like to see you at home. She'd like some help with the children, do the homework with them, play outside with football with them. I see Navio playing basketball with his two children, the bigger children that he has outside. The other thing is to understand that you actually need house help. While you are both employed, it is critical that you have house help. I wanted to share what a CEO shared with us, a lady CEO in Kenya. She shared with us what she understands by enabling her to become CEO. So if you want your wife as well to progress, to be able to achieve that, what does she need? She said the reason why it is easy for men to become CEOs is because they have us. You don't have to worry about the food on the table. You don't have to worry about taking the children to the doctor, you know. So you have the time to focus on the company vision, the company mission, and the plan, the strategy. You have time. How can your wife be able to as well move, up in her employment? And this lady suggested to us that we need 3 wives. Of course, she's a CEO. We probably not all can afford 3 wives, but her wives, who were they? It was the driver. You do spend like 2 hours trying to get to work, 2 hours trying to drop the children at, and those 2 hours you could actually be in the car, but actually doing your work or thinking about what's happening in the workplace. She also suggested you needed a nanny. Waking up early in the morning, and of course your daughter is running to you like I saw her running to her dad recently, is going for a brownies meeting, and she couldn't find her shirt, the brownie shirt, and they were going out camping. So there was my son jumping up to go and look for a brownie shirt. And, losing his temper in the process, like men tend to do. We are a little more patient, but, can you have a nanny so that socks are not an issue again for the 2 of you, neither for the husband nor for the wife. The packed lunch is not your problem. Yeah, so a nanny is something that she wanted. That was her second wife. Then she told us, ladies, CEO material that these people were who were Strathmore. I do not want to see you in the market shopping for a kilo of onions. Why are you the one shopping for onions? Can't you find someone else to do that? So the cook, for her, she had a cook. But I think we don't have to be too ambitious. All of us are not CEOs, but I think you can find a way of delegating some of those jobs so that you as well are not so tired and have time to think of what's happening at the workplace. I want to tell you about my nanny. Annette was with me for 30 years. She brought up Danny, Navio, as you know him, from when his father passed. He was, no, actually before that, from when he was about 6. So she helped me. She was always at home. She knew everything. I delegated. She knew the hospital. She knew where to find money if she needed it. And I trusted her. That's why I was able to be CEO at the Uganda Investment Authority and travel the world, because I knew my children were safe and they would be okay in the hands of this wonderful lady that I happened to have found. So lucky. And she stayed with me. I've also had my grandchildren. Navio had his first 2 kids, and I've looked after them until the eldest was 13. Again, Annette was home. Annette was with me, and they were very, very safe. So can you, ladies, I know it is us, the ladies, who deal with the nanny more than the husbands. And I think I see my friends firing them every so often. Nobody's ever good enough for you. But have you given your part of it? Have you been good to her? Have you fed her? Have you ensured that her children and her family is okay, because that person is really key for your marriage. You have time to talk to your husband. You have time to play with the children. She's key. She or he. I don't know if some of you have male nannies, but anyway, mine was always female. I think female relates better to children, but also, not having to go to the shops. I don't like shopping. I don't like the market. So she can easily go and pick everything that you need. And then the driver that my friend, the CEO, talked about, to give you more time to sit in the car and actually do your work or do social media, whatever it is that you do. So nowadays, both mom and dad are employed. And if you are, the people in this room probably are, at least you are employed. Do you know how lucky you are? Sometimes you don't recognize that 90% of Ugandans would love to have your job, but they don't have it. So what are you doing at work? You are so lucky that you have that job. I want you to plan to be the best employee, and Doreen and Helen will be very happy to hear me say this, and Minet in general. You should be the best employee in that company. Don't make them fire you. Don't allow them to fire you. So the things you need to do, of course, are basic. The company does have a vision, right? You know that vision. Can you live Minet's vision? Can you live Minet's mission? Can you look Minet? This is a smart company. How do you look? So you try and look Minet. Look at your contract. I know they probably gave you a contract. What do they expect of you? Are you delivering? Have you got the skills to deliver? If you haven't got, can you find the skills? You're not only going to deliver your contract, you need to deliver even more, just to make sure they will keep you and they will promote you. So do you need more skills? The lady or the gentleman who is your boss, what does she have that you don't have? Why is she your boss? Can you find out? Is it a skill? Skills are available everywhere. Just go and get it. They're online, they're on TV, they are, go and get the skill. When I first joined Uganda, not even UIA, I had to learn every day. I had to know every sector in Uganda. But even before that, I joined Pepsi Cola from my medical profession, straight, didn't know anything. But I knew, because I'm a doctor, because I have my degree, that you can get information. You can find where to get, especially financial literacy. That was a big challenge. A doctor who had not even worked as a private practitioner and not dealt with money at all. So I needed to do entrepreneurship. I needed to do marketing. I needed to do customer care. I needed to do finance for non-finance managers and a number of other courses, short term. The good news, they're available. Find them. So for you to be able to look at your boss's position as the one that's for you, or the CEO's position, you need to do leadership. You need to communicate well. If you don't, can you learn? There are leadership courses again. There are communication courses again. Are you a leader? First of all, where you are in your position. Are people looking up to you? Does anybody come to ask you a question? You need to position yourself as a leader in the company so that Minet will say, she's doing a good job. That lady came and got advice from her. The other one, had a question and she answered it. And obviously she's the one people are running to, because you make yourself available. You share your knowledge. You speak up. In meetings, are you speaking up? Or are you sitting quietly, especially to my fellow ladies? When we don't know, we are quiet. Absolutely. So the first thing you need to do is know everything that Minet does, so that when it comes to speaking up, you're confident. But you've also done that little course on communication. Very, very important. I think I've given you enough tips. First, for the marriage. How do you save your marriage? How do you make it a good marriage, in spite of the fact that you are not your mother? You are not staying at home. You are working full time. The relationship with your husband is critical. It is critical. How do you keep him happy at the same time, keeping yourself available and busy and able to compete for any job challenges that you have at work? Thank you, Doreen.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Margaret. I'm already paranoid. I feel like we don't have enough time, and yet I see the gems are so many. I wanted you to keep talking, but that shows that the insights are really, really, hitting home. Just to summarize for our listeners, maybe we'll join late, Dr. Maggie was talking to us about marriage and family relationship, and some of the risk factors resulting from dynamic socio-economic environment. And she was alluding this to how it affects our mental health. I'd like to pick up a few things that I'd like to read to you some of the things that I picked up. She was talking about the balance, the home, the family, and then the corporate space. She talked about delegation. Why are you the one going to the market if you can delegate? We are looking at ways to simplify our lives to ensure that we are winning both at home and in the workspace. And she used an example, she has scaled all the ladders in the corporate space. And she has also faced some of the challenges, on the side. She's told us she's a single mother, and she's still, she's a single mother, she still switched careers, from being a medical person to coming into the, mainstream corporate space, into sales, into investment and all those things. And you can imagine, losing a husband and have to raise the children on your own, but you see that she still excelled in her career. She talked about delegation, don't be the one going to the market if you can send that border person, She talked about too much ambition. There are already questions that are coming in, and we'll ask those questions after Klaire has spoken to us, do you have too much ambition? She talked about a support system. Are we taking time to build our support system? She talked about Annette, somebody that she had for 30 years, and she talked about some of the things that we are facing now. We have maids that we are firing every day. Are we meeting them halfway? Are we paying them well? Are we treating them well? They are in our homes, but we care to know if somebody at their home is okay. If a maid is your home and their mother is not well, then she's not going to be there 100%. So while we have them in our homes, we need to meet them halfway. She talked about us defining our marriages and our arrangement ourselves. That means personally, me and my husband have to define the arrangement that we have at home to manage expectations. I will not have a marriage like she had. I will not have a marriage like you have, because the expectations in my relationship are different from the expectations in a relationship. She talked about sitting down with your person and define the arrangement that you have and what can work for you so that you're managing expectations on either side. Again, she talked about the support system. She talked about being the best employee. If you're blessed with a job, are you being the best employee? Sometimes we are standing in our own way, and that affects our mental health. And then we go around saying, oh, somebody's backstabbing me, or there's politics at work, or there is this, all those things get back to us. Are we being the best employee? You're paid to do a job. Are you doing it to the best of your ability? She talked about learning from those who are ahead of us. Sometimes we look at people, and instead of admiring them, we are either competing with them, we are busy looking at we're busy faulting them. But she talked about looking at the people who have gone ahead of us and learning something from them. She talked about skilling, reskilling. She is a medical doctor. When did she last practice? She has switched careers, and not has she just switched, she has excelled. If you talk about Dr. Maggie Kigozi, everybody knows her, even if I didn't read her profile, everybody knows her, but she's a medical doctor. She could have said, what, I'm in the medical space, there are not enough jobs, they're not remunerating us well, but she decided to reskill. Are you reading enough? If you're in the workplace, are you reading? There's so much information, out there on social media. There's so much information on the internet. Are you adding a skill every day? Are you inquiring from the people who are ahead of us? So many gems that you have shared, Dr. Maggie. It was very, very insightful. We are definitely going to come back to you because the questions are so many. And now I'd like to very quickly go to Klaire. You will love Klaire. Klaire is going to be talking to us, giving us highlights and symptoms of life-work imbalance. At what point do you know that you've now shifted from a balance and now it seems very imbalanced? And she's also going to be giving us tips, interventions, and remedies. Klaire, over to you.
Thank you, Doreen, for moderating this, and I was just taking notes while Dr. Maggie was speaking, and it's always a privilege to hear her speak and to share her experience. And personally, I want to just share from a point of someone who had really failed to balance work and life. And I was very exhausted, overworked, overstretched. I tried to be the superhero in my family and the superhero at work. And at one point I felt like I just couldn't do it anymore. And I shared this earlier. When I clocked 40, that's when I said, you know, something must give. There must be more to life. There must be more to my life. I've made 40 and I cannot document my contribution here on earth. Yes, I have family, I have work, I pay my bills, I do this, but then what, you know? And so that took me to a journey of self-discovery. And usually when I'm speaking to both men and women, I try to share my life. I've been married 18 years, making 19 years. And during that whole journey, there have been a number of changes. I changed career from graphics design. I had done graphic design in Makerere. I would come to work, design adverts, you know, a very routine kind of thing. And so I changed my career. I went into sales. Why? Because I wanted money, and I had been told that there is money in sales. So I switched careers, but I didn't know anything about sales. Yeah, but I knew I could do it, and so I had a team of sales executives that I was supervising at the time, and for me to be able to manage them well, I had to go into reading, yeah, and it helped me. I'll talk more about that given an opportunity. But what really turned my life around was the fact that I had given so much power to my work, you know, to the exhaustion. I had no time for myself. I had young children who needed me. And this is something that we forget, that when you come to work, you're not working for the targets. You are working for your family. If I ask Doreen, why did you come to work? More likely she'll tell you to provide for my family. So that at the back of our minds, whether you're a man or woman, you're working, there's this push, the reason as to why you come to work every day, to provide for your family. But if you're broken, you cannot provide. If you're broken, you cannot provide. And many of us have allowed ourselves to be stretched thin. We have no goals. Yeah, we have no goals. We have no plans. We have no service beyond 8 to 5. There's nothing else. We don't have any contribution. Yeah, and that is a problem. When you find that you have to be everything to everyone, you cannot thrive. Like Dr. Maggie said, you are in the market doing all this. Earlier, I was speaking to a different group, and I was telling them that I used to say, I don't have time. I don't have time. And a lady asked me, why? What do you mean you don't have time? What about your weekends? And I said, I'm washing clothes. She's like, but you're a manager. What are you doing washing clothes? And she told me, buy a washing machine, you know, buy a washing machine. And I thought it was pride. I thought she was just being arrogant. But I decided to buy a washing machine. I saved up for a washing machine. And when it arrived, it was a game changer for me. So I understand what Maggie is saying, that sometimes there are things that have come to simplify our lives. Why are we making our lives so complicated? You know, do you have to do all these things? Yeah. So you'll find that Saturday, I'm encouraging women, I'm mentoring someone, I'm spending time with the family. I've managed to get some pockets. Yeah. The other challenge is that we have allowed the quality of our lives to be determined by the corporate spaces where we serve. Yeah. These are careers. But what about our own calling? Yeah, our own calling. If you retire, like Maggie said, if you retire, then what? You know, yes, you may have money in the bank, you may have NSSF saved up, but what else? What else? Do you still have the energy to walk around? Do you even still have the body to actually put on a bathing suit on the beach? You know, so we have put our lives on hold. And, you know, said, I'm working for early retirement. I'm working so that I can have a better retirement. But what about now? You know, you can't expect to sit in the compound and chat and laugh with your husband when you have neglected him for the last 20 years, the last 30 years. Yeah. So I always tell women, be present now. What can you do now? You know, the president of the US, of Uganda, wherever, they have 24 hours. You also have 24 hours. Yeah. You cannot afford to be everything to everyone. And I decided to be intentional first about my time. Yeah. I used to carry work home. I go with a laptop home. I'm in the same room with my husband, but everyone is on the phone, everyone is on the laptop working. So where is the balance? You have suddenly brought work home. And that's where the challenge is. You're supposed to work up to 5. After 5, it's supposed to be your family, you know? So I had to make some changes in that area. And then also putting time for myself in terms of growing and doing the things that I love. I love encouraging and I love mentoring, and that's what I do. It makes me happy. I love reading. I encourage women to read, yeah? But people don't have time. People don't have time. And then the other issue is that we keep blaming everyone for everything, you know? We expect, and this is something that I know there are many young people on this call. Do not expect your husband to fulfill you. That is not his role. And that is a burden that we have put on the men, that I'm unhappy, but I expect my husband to make me happy, whether by sponsoring whatever, giving me money, or doing all these things. You must find joy. Yeah, you must find joy in service, in something else. You must be happy. Yeah, I know what it means to be depressed, to be exhausted. I always tell people, there was a time I was driving on the not northern bypass, Lugogo bypass, and I was so exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I just parked at the bypass and wept like a baby out of exhaustion. I was so tired. I was going to work. I had just dropped the children and I was tired, very, very tired. And this happens to so many people, yeah, where you think that you have, this is your lot in life. It's not your lot in life. You can actually be happy. You can be fulfilled. So when I tell people that I am actually a happy person, I wake up excited about work. I wake up longing to see what the day brings. It is something, and I always say, happiness is learned. You can learn to be happy. You can learn to be happy. How come people who have less money than you are actually happy? Yeah. What is bringing the joy in their lives? So sometimes we want a quick fix to work-life balance. And I say it begins with you as a person, as a woman. What have you invested in yourself? How are you growing? What are your networks? What are the things that you say to yourself? Yeah. When you live in an environment of comparison, every time you look at Instagram, there's someone celebrating something and you're not celebrating anything. It's very easy for you to get depressed. Suddenly your job does not pay you enough. Suddenly you want what someone else has. And I say it begins with you. The women on this call, even the men, yeah? What are some of the goals, life goals? What are those grand dreams? If I ask people on this call, Priscilla, please, what are those dreams? Put those dreams before you, yeah? Let's look at those dreams every single day. Do not put your life on hold. Every single day, say, I will be this. This is what I want. I want to speak to nations. That was your dream when you were in P7. What happened? Yeah? And people usually say, life happened. When life happened, you're here, you must make it work. And I say you can, you can be able to cultivate habits of, first of all, gratitude. Yeah, gratitude is one of the things that we must cultivate every single day. Mention 10 things that you're happy for. Dr. Maggie talked about the jobs that you have. Right now, you get to see a job on LinkedIn, and you see it in the morning, and you say, during my lunchtime break, I will apply for it. And the next time you switch on, 3,000 people have applied. So the job that you have, it's a job that you need to be grateful for, because at this particular time, it's what God has provided for you to be able to support your family. Even as we seek to grow bigger and grow, and climb the ladder and all that, be grateful with what you have now. And then simplicity. Yeah, we complicate lives, yet life is meant to be simple. It's very simple. Be at work when you're at work. Be involved with the work. She talked about excellence. Are you excellent at your work? Yeah. There are many things like technology. We're now promoting digital, even the Women's Day theme, digital, AI. All these things are out for your job. If you are a copywriter and you're taking a long time coming up with copy, last week you are just made redundant. A software can write that copy and give 100 options. So you have no job. Yeah. If you're doing reports, how are you actually doing these reports? So excel in all areas. Last year, I wrote down one of my goals, that I wanted to be an exceptional wife to my husband. And when I shared it, well, like, exceptional wife, how can you be an exceptional wife? But it's about being intentional with him. And people might think that we have, Klaire's had a perfect marriage and all that. No, my husband had to travel. He travels a lot. He had to do his PhD. He did his post-PhD. Those are 6 years of being alone with the children and balancing and juggling. And when you go through some of those things, they change you, they build some kind of resilience. Yeah. But when I look back, even the depression and all that, it's because the scale was not right. Yeah. And I actually think that you can do it. The fact that you have logged on means that you want to learn. And one of the things that you need to learn is gratitude, simplicity, and then order. We are disorganized. We are not orderly in the things that we do. We are juggling about Klaire's life makeovers. But for me, getting organized in my space has actually helped me get organized at work. Yeah, we have messy, messy, messy lives. We are juggling so many things and we are not creating order. We need to learn to be orderly in the things that we do. Sometimes the anxiety and the stress is in the junk that we have, yeah? Now, and then also living in harmony, yeah? Sometimes you say, can I live a harmonious life? Yes, you can, yeah? Yes, you can. Our lives are different spheres. There is an area for family, friends, fun, fitness, there is finances. So my scale was all over the place. If you do a life audit on your life, yeah, and audits are never good. So if you do a life audit on your life and say, okay, how am I doing with my finances? Yeah. Am I at 1 out of 10? Am I at a 10? Or I'm at a 5 or at a 2? Meaning, how am I faring in my finances? You cannot say, I'll have a happy marriage and my finances are a mess. It's not possible. And the breakups of most marriages are because of finances, yeah? So both men and women on this call, you need to check the finances. For me, I was stretched with so many things, bank loan, advance, what? So when the pay comes, it's not enough. It can't take you even to mid-month. And this is part of the stress that we're living with, because we've stretched our finances to the limits, you know? Even when you don't have all those big financial obligations, you find that you have bought a handbag here, you have a perfume there, you have, you know, a bag you deposited on everything. At the end of the month, you have to pay up all your workmates for the small, tiny things that they have sold you. I've been there, you know, and I decided to look at my finances and say, no, Klaire, you should never be this broke or this broken again. I had to take control. And I said, no, I must find other multiple streams of income. Yeah, but I had zero capital. I had no money. And I keep sharing this story because I want people to learn that sometimes we blame our corporate space and say they don't pay you enough. They pay you enough for the work that you do. And like Dr. Maggie said, that there's always options. If you want to the CEO's job, why is a CEO in that place? You should be able to find out. So for me, it was after reaching rock bottom that I was able to look up and say, you know what? I need to make some changes. I made changes. I started different life makeovers. I started speaking engagements. I have all these other things that were able to help me control the finances. Faith, yeah. If COVID-19 has taught us something, is that we are not in control of the whole world. You are not. And if you went through the whole experience of COVID-19, maybe you did not lose someone, but then your mindset should have changed, you know, through this experience. So from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, you need to look at where you are right now. Whether you're in administration, you're in HR, is your mindset a growth mindset? So if you want to grow, you can grow at work, but also grow in your relationship. What are the things that you're intentionally doing to improve your marriage? Yeah. What are you doing? You're doing many things to improve you're studying, you're doing courses, you're doing all these things to improve your workspace. What are you doing to improve your marriage? Yeah. Someone told me about how small things that you can do to improve your marriage. And one of them is voice, yeah? Voice your affection for your husband. When was the last time you said, I love you to your husband? Yeah? African style, people don't say these things. Yeah? They don't show emotion. You know, you just wake up and run out of home. You don't even greet your husband and you expect to live in bliss or to thrive in your marriage. No way, the small things. Say, I love you. And I tried. Been married many years, but the words could get stuck in my throat. I couldn't say them, I couldn't say them. Why? Because I had neglected that area of my life. Yeah. So you must say it. And the first time I started saying it intentionally every day, and he was wondering, why? Why are you suddenly saying these things? But it has helped us in so many areas for us to show compassion, and then support for one another. Dr. Maggie talked about it. Are we supporting each other in terms of our careers? Yeah. How are you supporting yourself? Yeah? It doesn't have to always be financial, but also emotional support. Yeah. Sometimes you say, okay, Minet has organized this. From this session, I'm turning the whole house upside down. No, it is in the small things. So I can continue talking, but really it's gratitude. Yeah, it's gratitude. It's being intentional. It's looking at the different spheres of life. Yeah, how are you doing in your faith? You don't pray. Sometimes when people are having marriage issues, the first question I ask, do you pray together? And I'm not talking about going to church together. I'm talking, do you actually close your eyes, hold your hands, and pray with your husband? And 90 out of 100, you find that area is not there. And that is the first mistake we make. We neglect our faith as a fundamental aspect of marriage. Yeah, we prefer getting tips from Sengas, from Kojas, from all that, yeah, instead of actually getting them from the right sources. Yeah, so those are some of the few things I could share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Klaire. I told you you would love Klaire. Just like Dr. Maggie, I didn't want her to stop talking. Thank you so much for such tips. I know that some people feel like you brought a little violence when you spoke to the things that touch our everyday lives. Yes, we use that word very commonly. Klaire came in with so much violence. I mean, if you're not expressing your love for your spouse, then how are you able to show him that you appreciate him? And how are you able to show, what he means to you? So she talked about blaming. Sometimes we blame everybody, and we are not putting in the work. She talked about being intentional. She was very intentional about the input the improvement she was going to make, for her marriage. Sometimes you want the relationship at home to work, but you don't want to put in the work. She talked about doing things now. She talked about the dangers of procrastination, and then we have all had it everywhere. You can't pour from an empty cup. And Klaire really summarized that. You can't pour from an empty cup. You want to do everything, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted. Do not glamorize being busy. Klaire told us, let's not glamorize being busy. You're the one doing this, you're the one doing that, you're the one doing that. You will break, at the end of the day. Allow some luxury. She talked about how a colleague told her to buy a washing machine. So I know we come from a society where, a woman is supposed to be, they talk about her hard work, they talk about her input at home, what we're doing for our husbands, what we're doing for our children. But through all that, allow some luxury. If you can set aside some money and buy a washing machine, if you can get somebody to do the work for yourself, please do that. Thank you so much, Klaire. It was very insightful. We have just a few minutes, but there is so many questions that are coming in. Already people are saying we need to listen to Klaire and Dr. Maggie very often, and I can see us bringing them. But just remind you, if you're an employee or if you're an employer and you are on this call, I'd like to remind you that Minet runs an employee assistance program. And what we do, this assistance program is a wellness program. We come into your organization and we are able to advise you to be able to do mental risk assessment, to advise you on risk mitigation factors, things concerning your mental well-being. We offer this through psychosocial support systems, which are accessible not just to the employees, but also to the dependents, because we know how the wellness of your dependents affects your own wellness, and it will translate into your performance at work. Psychosocial support is no longer a luxury. It's no longer a luxury. It is a necessity, because it's important that the employee keeps highly engaged and very highly productive. We come in and do surveys. We offer workplace counseling. We offer preventive wellness sessions like this. We don't just inform you about what's happening, but we come in and are able to support you. So if you're listening in and you want such a program for your employees or you want such a program for your workplace, please reach out to us through the email hope@minet.co.ug. And the reason we do this is because we want to empower you, we want to equip you and your teams to be able to manage, the stresses that come up with everyday life, also to offer advisory, and referral services in case the issues are extreme, but also generally to improve your workplace so that you're able to be productive and you're in your right state of mind. So I want us to quickly go into the questions that have been asked, and I will ask one question at a time. And I will leave it as the panelists that will go through the questions very quickly. Dr. Maggie, somebody is asking about self-care. They are saying we only hear the wins, but we never hear about the challenges of going up the career and doing all these things. How do you know when you need to refocus? When do you know when to take a break? Did you ever take a break?
Yes, I do look after myself, that's for sure. UIA was strenuous. That was the one time when we were running, all over the world. But otherwise, I do, like even when I was at Makerere, Sunday is my day. So that has always been my day. And I try to make sure I still have that day so that you can at least get some rest. But it is important that you prioritize your life. I am, of course, 72 years old. When I had young children, I would not be doing anything. I would be looking after my children. Priority number one for me was my children. All that advice I gave you about climbing the ladder was not an issue as long as my children needed me. So please pay attention to the children. Give them their time. We have a very long life. I am still here. 50 years later, after my first child, I am still here. And now I can run around and do all the hard work that I need to do. The other thing I think for me was I was a sportswoman. So I played tennis, I played games, and that is also good for you. It relaxes you and also gives you, strength. Physically, you're stronger than most people. And you get great networks. If you play at the golf club, wow, or the tennis court, you have great networks that actually flow over into Minet, for example. The people you meet there, you can always sell your Minet to them, and that would be a benefit to you. So it is good for you to be able to relax and to do some sports. And there's a different priority at a different time in your life. So to the very young ones, don't listen to us. Don't go look after the children first. The children grow. Very soon they're either in boarding school or they're already 11 plus and they really don't need you that much anymore. So then you have time, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Maybe looking good. Yeah, so even looking good, you try. I am not into makeup or great things, but a little basic, a lipstick, do your hair at least, and wear a nice simple dress, and you're fine. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Maggie. She talked about priorities. Like she said, we're going to live long. She's over 70. So there are different priorities at your different stage in life. So make sure you know your priorities. If your children are little, please pay so much attention to them because, as a mother, you're the primary caretaker of your children. Thank you so much. Klaire, somebody is asking, they say, at 40 years, worked all my life, not much evidence on me except the demands I cannot meet. Is it too late to make over? Where do I begin from? Yeah. Klaire, are you there? I can see you're muted. Somebody's asking, at 40 years, they've worked all their life. There's not much evidence on them except the demands that they cannot meet. Is it too late to make over? Where do they begin from?
No, it's never too late. Never too late. And I just maybe start off with a quote from George Eliot. It is never too late to be what you are meant to be. So it's never too late. Yeah. I I started a book club at 40. It has 600 women. It's never too late. When you start now from this call, make changes, make daily changes. It's never too late. And you can actually make that decision immediately. If you do you take stock of your life, know exactly what you want, redefine your life, make changes. It's like when you step on the scale, yeah, and your BMI is all over the place. The weight will not go until you make changes. So daily habits. It's like when I tell people, start reading, and someone says, I can't, I don't have time. You start reading by reading one paragraph. Start reading by reading one page, but start, start somewhere. So even when your life is in a total mess, you can start right now by making intentional and small decisions. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Claire. We can be intentional and start somewhere. Like she said, she runs a book club of over 600 people. This is somebody who was trained in finance, but now is a business development manager for the leading, who doesn't know Vision Group, who doesn't know Vision Group. So Claire has been at that for 15 years, and she's been able to achieve so much, outside her corporate space. Thank you so much, Claire. It's never too late. Dr. Maggie, there are two questions I'd like to combine. Somebody has asked if sexual frustration can also contribute to poor performance at work. And it's similar to a question that somebody has just sent in. They're saying, sometimes the challenges that the corporate woman faces come from within the workplaces, like intimidation, sexual harassment, and fair playing field, etc. How can women overcome these and stay winning and not be distracted?
Yes, that is a difficult situation. The first one was purely sexual frustration. And so I guess that is coming from the home. And I think you had a lot of advice from Claire. I love you and finding time and going out together. And yeah, so you bring it back into the home. You can light up your home so that, you are both happy in that area. But sexual harassment at work, luckily, we are now organized, better organized in the workplace. You have your HR that you can complain to. You have, like as women, we talk together. You have your own, group, and so you can report. You have you should have where you can actually even report blindly so that people don't know it's you. That's another possibility. So it is important that you do not allow it. But I think personally, first thing, you fight for your rights. You need to be able to tell these people off. I was lucky to have been brought up with only boys. So that was my side of life. I only met girls much later on at Gayaza High School. So I was brought up with boys. So I always knew how to handle them because they're the ones I'm closer to. But and many of you do not have that advantage. So it has been difficult for you. But I think as companies now, it is well recognized that these things happen and they try to find solutions for you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maggie. I'd like also to remind us, she talked about you reporting to your human resource. Just to remind you, your human resource professionals are also human and they are not superhuman. That's why it's important to have a wellness program in place. When you have a counselor who you can talk to confidentially, sometimes you're not open to speak to your HR person. And we have noticed this, that for organizations and companies that we are supporting with our employee wellness programs, it is easy to address these things before they become issues. Sometimes you think it's sexual harassment and maybe you're the one who's not set your boundaries right. Maybe you're the one who is assuming things. Sometimes you just need to, your mind is a bit cluttered and here and there. So it's important to have a wellness program and reach out to us. hope@minet.co.ug. We're able to come in and speak to you and tell you how you can have this program in place and support you. And also to answer, somebody was asking if Claire could share something about I think finances. I think they talked about kindly share your experience with sharing finances with your spouse. Maybe before Claire can talk about that, one of the offerings of our employee assistance programs is also financial wellness. Financial wellness is a big thing, right? some of the effects were after COVID effects, and some of them are just the financial issues that Klaire talked about. You know, you're struggling, but you're the one who is overspending, you're the one who is doing what, so you may not be able to advise yourself. So we have financial coaches who are able to walk the journey with you and speak to you and talk to you about the healthy habits that you can make and all those things. So please reach out to us. Klaire, there is somebody who says they have a burning question. I know we have about 10 minutes to go, and somebody is saying women are judged and also judge themselves very harshly when they appear like they are winning at the office. Society assumes that home is suffering because of this progression in the workplace. How do you navigate these feelings to ensure that you're not consumed with the mom guilt?
Okay, I have a theory I live by, and that is people's opinion of you do not make it your reality. People will always talk, whether you are winning or losing. You know, they're actually happier when you're losing. So even when you're winning in the corporate space, their assumption, their opinion does not make it your reality. Personally, for me, I'm like an open book. I tell people what has worked for me and where I have failed. Yeah, I tell people, you know what? I struggled, I failed in these areas. And this is what has helped me grow. So whenever this question comes up, I always tell people that I am not where I used to be, and there is a place where I want to be, but I work every day to get better. I would prefer someone asking me for how I'm doing what I'm doing in the corporate space, you know? And sometimes we fall in that trap where I have to show up and end up crying, you know, in the middle of the night, I'm crying. You need to be able to be authentic. So what I'm saying, authentic, be authentic. If you're struggling, there is help. Like you're saying, there's help in terms of counseling. Get help. The circles that we have, the networks that we have, are these people contributing to your mental health? If you're surrounded by people who are always negative, you cannot thrive. You cannot be positive. So even when people are judging, yeah, and women, we judge fellow women so harshly, you know, so harshly. And we instead need to, you know, instead of competing, we need to collaborate. And I'm seeing so much collaboration among women, and you find that you're thriving. When I started out speaking, I couldn't speak because I'm naturally an introvert, but there were people who were with me, and they kept saying, you know what, I will introduce for you, then you come in. I'll introduce for you, then you come in. So for the women who are on this call, let's stop competing. Let's collaborate. Let's help each other out. You know, if you know I have this business, I'm good at this, and you can actually put a reference there. I am on this call because someone remembered my name in a space where I was not. Another woman. And it is of no risk, yeah, if you help another woman out. So even when you're not perfect, yeah, we want to project perfection. No one is perfect, you know, no one is perfect, but we are growing every single day. As women, we need to collaborate more. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Klaire and Dr. Maggie. We have a few minutes. I will give you an opportunity to give your parting shots, but I'd like to shoot. There's a question that goes to Dr. Maggie. Unfortunately, she's the one who's gone through this. Irene is asking, as a single parent, how do you create time for self-love? It's killing me. I can't spend on me, and it kills me every single day. Dr. Maggie, please.
Yes. Being a single parent is not easy. Again, the support system that I talked about earlier, having my Annette around at that time was actually such a lifesaver. I traveled a lot, and therefore sometimes was not around. And then you have the extended family. My father was sick, you know, a lot of complications. So yeah, what do you do? apart from the support system, friends, family. I've been so blessed to have a lot of nephews and nieces. So I've always had one or two of my nephews and nieces in the house. So at least, you know, there's even a family member there, and able to look after your children. Actually, I've had one or two always in the house throughout my life to date. And they are really a blessing, but not all of you have that advantage to have that person in your house. And it was only because I was a single parent. Otherwise, if you have a husband, bringing all my pretty nieces may not be the best solution. Yeah, you work hard, you of course need the money, and then you need to plan. Where is your retirement? I think an important thing about ending up a single parent is the fact that my husband left a will. I think I always, especially in a room that has men and women, I always want to share this. You guys are both working, you have some property that belongs to you. Have you got a will? I must say my husband left a will and it was a lifesaver. It was a lifesaver. There was no issue of quarreling for property, nothing. Even both at the level of the companies and at the level of the families, he was very clear. I have a wife, I have 3 children. That was it. So I hope all of you have a will. If you haven't got one, I'm sure Minet can help you. Yeah.
Yes, we sure can help. And we have had a webinar before where we had lawyers talk about having a will. Again, it's something I know we can explore in future. Just reach out to us on the email that I read, hope@minet.co.ug. Thank you so much, Dr. Maggie. Also, maybe to just add on what Dr. Maggie has said, Claire said something about happiness being learned. I know sometimes we wait for a happiness from a number of things. Maybe you'll never get that job that you want. Maybe you'll never get the man that you want. Maybe you'll never get the opportunity that you want, you know. So what if it doesn't come? Are you going to just stay there and wallow in your misery? Happiness is learned. Let's learn to be happy. Claire said, you know, she makes a choice to be happy. She makes a choice to be happy, you know. So like Maggie has said, for Irene who said, you know, she's having a number of challenges. So I know that there are some blessings that you have even as you sit there. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Thank God for those that you have and learn how to be happy with the little that you have and also get a support system in place. Nobody's going to get a support system for you. You've got to surround yourself. If you're not lucky to already be surrounded with, you know, relatives and friends, you've got to intentionally go out and create those networks. Claire, Imelda has a question for you. She's asking, is it okay to leave the job when you don't have the alternative due to endless stress in the workplace? Claire.
Thank you. I would have left my job a long time ago. It is not, it's okay, but it's not wise. It's not wise. What is plan B? You know, what is plan B? Even with all the stress that work has, at the end of the day, the end of the month, on 28th, 27th, there is something that comes in, and that's money that you get at the end of the month is very, very important. So if you're leaving your job without a plan B, it's a problem. Now, I have multiple things that I'm doing, yeah, but I did not stop work to start that, you know? No, it's only when you get to a point when all these things have grown that you can say, you know what? I think I need to devote and commit time to this. You have responsibilities. You have a family, yeah? So when we're making some of these decisions out of emotion, unless it's an issue of sexual harassment or some other thing, but if it's just the work and the workload that comes with it, there are options and there are things that you can, you know, things you can do to change that. You know, there are times when we think we cannot confront our bosses if we are overwhelmed by work. There are options. There's always an option. Leaving work without plan B is not wise, especially if you have responsibilities. I personally wouldn't do it. unless I had a plan B. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Claire. I think what we're trying to do is to build resilience, and we're trying to offer help, the psychosocial support that I talked about, so that you're not leaving your source of income and then you go back and look at your children and look at your family. Please seek help, reach out to us. We have exactly 4 minutes to wrap this up, and I'd like to thank our attendees, over 250 people who were on this call from start to finish. Thank you so much. We'll definitely be back. Thank you so much, Dr. Maggie and Claire, who have spoken into this very, very well. I am sure that people stayed because it was a great conversation. And I'd like to give each one of you a minute for your parting shots to our attendees, and then we can wrap up. Dr. Maggie, over to you.
Yes, to the attendees, thank you so much for being interested in listening to us, and for the large number of questions you have been asking, which means we hope we have contributed positively to your life, making it a little simpler. And I want to thank Minet and the management and the wellness clinic that has put this together, because I think it's very important that we discuss these things. I wish we had such things when I was younger. We never had anyone talk to us about life. So it is really good that you are able to hear for my 72 years and be able to improve your own life. So thank you very much for inviting us. And thank you, those of you who attended. And I sincerely hope we added value to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maggie. Claire, your parting shots.
All right, I like to just end with a question for all of us. Where are you coming from? Why are you here? And where are you going? As you think about the things that we have talked about, it's very important to have responsibility for where you are right now, whether there are mistakes, there are lessons and all that. It's good to know where you're coming from, why you're here, find your life purpose, find a way to serve. Yeah, find a way to serve, whether it's at your work, in your community, with fellow women. I find it so edifying to be of service in the different spheres. So find a way to serve, it will fill a gap in your heart to make your day job better because you're of service. And then plan for the future. Plan for the future, dream again, dream big. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you, Dr. Margaret. Thank you so much, Claire. It was very, very insightful. The people are still, over 200 people are still on the call. Usually, sometimes people drop off, you see a number of webinars where people drop off, but thank you so much for our attendees. It was such a great conversation. If you have any feedback for us, if you have any questions, if you'd like to ask us about something, about the Employee Assistance Program and the wellness solutions, please reach out to us at hope@minet.co.ug, _hope@minet.co.ug, and we'll be able to answer your questions. We'll definitely be back and we'll share with you the details of the upcoming webinars. But thank you so much. I pray for you, and I wish that all of us win and we are able to find an integration in our work and our home life. Thank you so much. I'd like to wish you a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful day. From the team at Minet, have a lovely day. Bye.